My name is Bill Rudin. I'm the chairman of ABNY, and on behalf of the ABNY board, want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you. We have with us tonight our great friend, Mayor Dinkins, over here. Mayor Dinkins, thank you. And his partner in crime, Howard Rubenstein. They were all part of the founding of ABNY back in the day. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I believe others who are joined us are Congressman Jerry Nadler, Borough President Eric Adams, and Gail Brewer, from the City Council, Ramon Martinez, Council members Dan Garotnik, David Greenfield, who I saw, Elizabeth Crowley, and coming a little bit later is Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito. Commissioner Dan Nigro, who got an award last year. I saw Parks Commissioner Mitch Silver and Building Commissioner Rick Chandler. I also saw First Deputy Commissioner of the NYPD, Benjamin Tucker, and the Executive Director of the Port Authority, Pat Foy, is with us, MTA President Ronnie Hakem, and a great friend of ABNY's who's been on our steering committee, dedicated to our city and state and downtown for many years, and who is now going to be the Chief Development Officer of the MTA. The governor just announced that last week. Jano Lieber. Jano, thank you for being here, and we wish you the best of luck. I believe the new Secretary of the Governor, Melissa DeRosa, will be joining us. She will be the first female Secretary of the Governor in our state's history, so very exciting. We're also thankful that you are all here tonight, and also all of our sponsors who have helped us reach our goal of raising money and supporting the ABNY Foundation, and for making this night possible. Thank you very much. We're very thrilled to be back here at the landmark Rainbow Room, and want to thank Rob Spire and the Tishman Spire team, and also a special shout out to Michelle Adams, whose idea was to create the Spirit of ABNY Award and to help us organize this event here at the Rainbow Room. So, Michelle, wherever you are, thank you. This is one of the great events that ABNY holds every year, and it really reflects our organization and what we do, and also really reflects on you, our membership, and how supportive you are to the things that we work on. Tonight's honorees have moved us literally and figuratively in a positive direction. They have challenged us to build bigger and better and to go the distance in more ways than one. And what makes this night particularly special for me is that every year we honor and celebrate a New York leader with an award named after my father, who co-founded ABNY along with Howard and many others 46 years ago, and who felt a deep devotion to this city, so much that we have called him Mr. New York. My father, Lou, spent his life working tirelessly to make New York a better place for everyone, and tonight's honorees have served the city with that in mind. I'm going to skip the timeline, and because my Aunt Susan has to leave us to go to another event. But one of the awards that we decided to give tonight was in recognition of my Uncle Jack, who passed away last December. Jack would have loved this program tonight, not only because he loved networking and did it with ease, but because it celebrates transformative projects and ideas that make New York City a better place, and because he also was one of the founding members of the New York City Marathon, which we will honor later. Jack dedicated his life to the betterment of our city and its citizens. He was a master builder, philanthropist, civic leader, and was my uncle and a great mentor. When Uncle Jack and my dad co-founded ABNY in the 70s, it deepened already a special partnership that continues to inspire us today. One of Jack's favorite Jackisms, as we called it, was, "Are you bringing me a problem or bringing me a solution? And you can't shit a shitter." That was Jack. His sayings echo why we started ABNY to face our city's challenges, and to move forward together to help solve our problems. I'm glad that Jack's wife, Susan, is here, along with my cousin Eric, who will accept this award on behalf of Jack's family. Eric, our dads are up in heaven right now, having their own Spirit of ABNY event at the Association for a Better Heaven. So Eric, please come up and accept the award.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's very lovely. On behalf of Susan and the family, I'm very pleased and proud to accept this award. I want to congratulate all the other honorees tonight, Tom, our friends at the Times Square Alliance, Tim Tompkins, Bob's here. I'm on that board, and it's amazing, accomplished amazing things in 25 years. And the New York Roadrunners Club. We've been very involved with the marathon, but the Roadrunners Club is much more than just the marathon, and it's amazing what they've accomplished. My dad was a great believer and supporter of ABNY, all things ABNY. He loved the organization, went to everything he could. He loved, as Bill said, networking and bringing all the people he knew from different walks of life in government and private into the breakfast to listen to politicians and whoever it was that was speaking about the future of the city, and to try to bring everybody into the conversation. So I also want to say that he adored his brother Lou and really admired and respected everything that Lou has accomplished. And when Bill took over, he felt the same way, exactly the same way about Bill. He's very proud of him, and as am I. And thank you all for your support, and it's lovely to see you. Thank you for this.
Susan, come on up for 1 second. This is Susan Rudin.
I did expect this on behalf of Jack and his memory and all the things he did. I thank you all very much. And I know ABNY was really dear to his heart. He loved the city. He called it his town. So, thank you. Those are my glasses.
Thank you. Well, let's do one quick picture.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes I like to introduce people by saying they've forgotten more than I'll ever know about a subject. But I can't say that about Tom Pendergrass, because he never forgets anything. As many of you can confirm, when you talk to Tom about transit, development, and politics that are shaping the future of our city, you quickly realize his high-level thoughts are grounded in rich understanding of an array of facts on the ground that help or hinder the progress. You can tell him how to make a neighborhood work better, and he can also tell you how an electrical substation or a bridge pier needs to be fixed before it can happen. Tom's passion and dedication was such an enormous asset for everyone in this region, to our transportation system, and to all of our businesses and the people who ride the trains and subways that make this city so great. And that's why even when he was ready to retire after a long and successful career at the MTA, the governor urged him at an ABNY breakfast, and that's a polite way of saying it, to stay at least one more year so he could see the 2nd Avenue subway to its completion. Tom, you've seen an immediate improvement. We've seen an immediate improvement on the Upper East Side, both on the new Q trains and the existing 4, 5, and 6. And we've seen a real validation of the belief that government can do great things for the people it serves. That's precisely the intention behind the Lou Rudin Founders Award in memory of my father, who knew that a great city thrives when it has great civic leaders. And that's precisely why we're honored to present this award to you tonight, Tom. Thank you. Come on up.
I'm humbled to receive an award named after Lou Rudin. When I first came to New York in the early 80s, and I would go to ABNY events, I was amazed by his leadership. For somebody who did something because he wanted to, not because he had to, he was a tremendous leader. New York is like no other city in the world. I'm a native Chicagoan, but I've adopted New York as my home. I've lived in Vancouver, I've lived in London, and they're great cities. But there's no city like New York when people who are its civic leaders, its elected officials, its business leaders, when they put their mind behind an objective. When I came here in 1982, and I apologize because some of you, when I was selling the capital program, heard this story, the place was falling down around its knees, and the place was the MTA. Derailments every 27 days, graffiti on every inch of every surface, of every train, of every station, and Dick Ravitch got $8 billion. And it started a $120 billion effort over 35 years to rebuild the place. I'm humbled to receive this award. I've always felt privileged and honored to be able to lead an agency like the MTA with over 70,000 employees who put their job first in front of their family. We now carry over 6 million, about 6 million people a day in the subway, and another 2.5 million people on the commuter rail network. And it's the system that never stops, that makes sure the city that never sleeps keeps moving. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Tom. Thank you very much. I'm very lucky to have my daughter and my granddaughter just join us. So the next generation is here. The next Spirit Award goes to a project that has radically reimagined the Great White Way, the Times Square Pedestrian Plazas. Up to 500,000 people pass through the crossroads of the world each day. It's an astonishing figure. Before 2009, only 10% of the area was pedestrian-friendly. Times Square Pedestrian Plaza project has been a massive undertaking and has resulted in a dramatic transformation. Today, the plaza has made this area undeniably more pleasant, easy to navigate, better for the environment, and more enjoyable and safer for walkers, cyclists, and the surrounding businesses. It wasn't easy, given that it never closed the streets and people didn't stop coming. It's a real testament to the collaboration and leadership of the Department of Transportation, the NYPD, the Times Square Alliance, working with the City Council, other city agencies, and businesses to make this happen. It's a collaboration that we will need to continue to ensure that these plazas remain attractive for New Yorkers and visitors alike. The plazas celebrated their grand opening just last week, marking the formal end of construction and announcing the enhanced programming across the 110,000 square feet of space. Commissioner Trottenberg, Tim Tompkins, I think I speak for all of us in this room and throughout the city when we say thank you for your determination and commitment to seeing this project through. You have breathed new life into what was already an iconic New York experience and made it more accessible for all who live, work, and visit here. Thank you, and please join me on the stage to accept your awards.
It's hard to follow on the heels of an award, obviously named in the honor of your father for Tom Prendergast, as someone who's the city's DOT commissioner and an MTA board member. Let me just add my congratulations. It's been a great privilege to work with this extraordinary leader, and I see so many of his team and board members and colleagues here. He has been a remarkable figure for the city, and I really want to thank him again for his amazing work. And then I'll just quickly, I'm going to build on what you said, Bill. The Times Square was an incredible team effort. Public sector, private sector, stakeholders. You know, I think we're so proud of the work we've finally done there, and I just want to thank some of my team, the team under the de Blasio administration and the team under the Bloomberg administration, Margaret Forgione, Louis Sanchez, Sean Quinn, Emily Wiedenhoff, and of course, Jeanette Sada-Khan, Lori Ardita, who's here, Margaret Newman, Andy Wiley-Schwartz. There have been many, many people who've helped make this extraordinary project happen, as well as the Department of Design and Construction. This capital project, as we all know, was quite a massive undertaking. We built essentially 2 football fields worth of beautiful pedestrian space, and I think it is a thrill every day to come and see it alive and activated, and we're working closely with Tim to make sure that, as you say, the space stays beautiful, active, safe, and attractive for everybody. So thanks so much, Bill.
So thank you, and it really is an amazing thing. You think about trying to do any construction project when there's 500,000 people passing through your construction site every day. It makes it a little complicated. 20 years ago, the problem with Times Square is you couldn't get through it without getting mugged. 10 years ago, the problem was that you couldn't get through it. Fundamentally, thanks to the amazing work of people ranging from Christine Nicholas at NYC and Company and before to Fred Dixon and NYC and Company, the number of tourists in New York City has doubled coming in over those last 20 years, and we've needed more space for them. And that was a main driver of this project. But the other thing is that, whether it's Central Park or Times Square, the public spaces in our city are the drivers of perceptions. And they're the places where whatever's working or not working in our city, or what our aspirations are reflected. And so really, it's not just about creating more space for people, it's creating a space where all the cultural and creative talent of this city can be on display in its great central public space. So I want to thank you at DOT, I want to thank your predecessors at DOT and all the people that work there. I thank Bob Kafen, my chair, and I especially want to thank you and Eric as our board member. I was so reminded at the memorial service, I've got some stakeholders that are there that are, a nameless LLC, or they come and go. And then there are the ones that are really in it for the long game. And you guys, in every sense of the word, for New York City and for Times Square and for all of us, are in it for the long game. We owe you so much. Thank you.
Okay, our final award. This is something near and dear to the Rudin family, something we've been involved in for 40 years. In 1976, as we all know, New York City was thought of as a dangerous place to come and visit, to live and work in. We were really at the edge in terms of fiscal stability. And a man who everybody thought at that time, and some of us over those years thought he was crazy, but he was crazy in a forward-thinking way. Fred LeBeau, who was then the president of the New York Roadrunners, came to Percy Sutton with this idea of taking the New York City Marathon that was run in the Central Park, 6 loops around the park, and to take it out of the park and then to connect to all 5 boroughs in honor of the bicentennial. Percy came to Jack and Lou and Mayor Beam, and both Jack and Lou immediately said yes and came up with $25,000, and with one stipulation, that the award for the winner would be in Sam Rudin's name, who had just passed away the year before. And they realized that this was an incredible opportunity to spread the word that New York City was coming back. Jack and Lou were able to watch this great race grow from 65 marathoners to over 51,000 last year. And it has become an institution that is watched all over the world and has really become one of the great days in our city. On the 40th anniversary of the 5-borough race, we wanted to celebrate the New York City Marathon as more than just a 26.2-mile race, but as a symbol of our city's development, resiliency, and the true grit that all New Yorkers share. To the New York Roadrunners, we thank you for all that you've done to embolden this tradition. You worked tirelessly, not only on this race, but throughout the year, and your commitment to healthy and vibrant communities and reaching out to over 250,000 children through your Team for Kids youth program and over 34,000 in community fitness programs. Your programs encourage New Yorkers to get healthy, enjoy the outdoors, and the challenges that running and life bring to us. My family and I are proud to support the marathon, and we will continue to cheer on the fantastic athletes, and the regular runners who compete in this race and train for months. And with the memory of my dad and Lou and my Uncle Jack in mind, from the starting line to the finish line. To Michael Capiraso and Jim Hyman from the New York Roadrunners, we are thrilled to present you with this honor and accept that on behalf of your organization. Please come up and join us. And also Dick Traum, who represents the Achilles Track Club, who's been at every race since its inception. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, ABNY, for this Spirit of ABNY Award. On behalf of the New York Roadrunner staff and the millions of volunteers who have, millions of people have run and volunteers who've chaired along the way over the past 40 years, we're honored to receive this award. How many of you have run the New York City Marathon here? A good amount. How many would like to run maybe this year? Okay. See me afterwards. I can help you out, I think, with that one. All right. We're over 1 million people. We'd like to get to 2 million people sooner than it took us to get to 1 million. So it's an amazing day. I remember watching Rod Dixon win one of our most dramatic and races in the history, and I watched it on television, and I said to myself, this is amazing. I'd love to someday run it. A few years later, I found myself on the Verrazano Bridge in 1991 trying to figure out how I was going to get through 26 miles. So as it turns out, I made it through the 26 miles with the help of lots of people in our boroughs cheering me on. And I've actually run the New York City Marathon every year since 1991. This will be my 26th year in a row this year. So when we talk about the spirit of New York City and the spirit of what we have here in this great city to get people to do things, I went from running once to keep running every year. It is truly the most amazing day in New York City, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. We owe a great debt of gratitude to a small group of runners and civic leaders who came together to put this race and make it happen. Obviously, the Rudin family has been very involved in that time period, and this year we are incredibly thrilled to continue that partnership as well. Amazing, of those 50,000 runners that run this year, we had 7 people who had run in 1976, the first one, and run this year. And Dick Traum ran that race in 1976, and he's here with us tonight, too. Dick became known as the first amputee to run a marathon, and he ran in 76 and 2016, and he also founded the Achilles International Athlete Association, an organization that works closely with us to provide disabled people with opportunities to engage with our races all year round. The New York City Marathon is a part of the fabric of the city. It generates over $415 million a year in economic impact, and we've raised over $230 million for charities as well throughout that time period. We have an amazing group of people at the New York Roadrunners. I'd especially like to thank Peter Ciaccia, who's the president of events and the race director of the TCS New York City Marathon, who unfortunately could not be with us tonight. To make this race happen throughout the 5 boroughs is a Herculean effort by our team, the mayor's office, and many great city agencies. One of the amazing leaders that helps this event happen is our senior vice president and technical director of the New York City Marathon, Mr. Jim Hyman.
Thank you, Michael. The first New York City Marathon, 1970, the multiple laps in Central Park, 55 people finished that. 1976, the first year we went to 5 boroughs. It's also the year I was born. 2,090 folks towed the line to start, and 1,549 finished that race. Fast forward to today, over 1 million people have crossed that famed finish line in Central Park, and over 50,000 runners each year. We're humbled and privileged to be part of the largest and the best marathon in the world. I just got back from Boston and London. I can tell you we're the best, all right? It is where the world comes to run. Last year, we welcomed runners from all 50 states and 130 countries around the world. From the fastest professional athletes to runners of all ages, abilities, and orientations, we are proud of the fact that the marathon is a celebration of the human spirit and a celebration of diversity and inclusion. Our TV broadcast, thank you. Our TV broadcast nationally and internationally reaches almost 900 million homes. And as Michael mentioned, the economic impact and the charity impact, this is a global event, and we're really humbled to be a part of it. Over the years, the marathon has woven itself into the fabric of New York, into the fabric of the community. It is now an iconic cultural institution. The marathon isn't ours. The marathon is all of ours. For example, we have fluid stations along the course where there are 4 generations of families that come out every year. There's over 10,000 volunteers each year to support the runners and more than 1 million people lining the streets. That is not all New York road runners. That is this city embracing the marathon. And it's impossible to look at the growth and the world-class reputation of the TCS New York City Marathon and not point out first the indispensable support and guidance provided by the mayor's office and the incredible team of city, state, and federal agencies that we partner with. The NYPD, Parks, I saw Commissioner Silver here, DOT, Commissioner Trottenberg, thank you, MTA, Mr. Prendergast, Sanitation, FDNY, Homeland Security, and the FBI, National Park Service, U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Army Reserve, NYC and Code, the list goes on and on and on. That's only a fraction of it. It's everyone coming together. Everyone comes together to make Marathon Sunday in New York, and we can't do any of this without all of us. So again, we're truly honored, humbled, and privileged to be here to accept this award, and thank you very much, Bill.
We have a special surprise guest, a gentleman who really needs no introduction, but as you all remember, we gave his dad an award last year, and he spoke so beautifully, and we're honored to have the governor here with us again tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, Governor Andrew Cuomo. And Melissa's here also, so I told her we gave her a shout out before.
Melissa, there are 2 Melissas here. First, we have the Speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito. Pleasure to be with you, Madam Speaker. And we have Melissa DeRosa, who just became the first woman secretary to the governor in the history of the state. About time. We wish her well, because if she doesn't do well, she's going to set back women 100 years. First, it's my pleasure to be here. As my father received the ABNY Spirit Award, which meant a lot to me. I know how much he believed in ABNY and how involved he was and how important ABNY was all through his administration. And in many ways, this is now a second-generation affair, my relationship with ABNY. And I want to congratulate all the winners today. All the awardees. ABNY doesn't do it lightly, so kudos to all of you, because if you didn't deserve it, you wouldn't receive it. But there's a special awardee who I wanted to thank, and that's Tom Prendergast, who I had the pleasure to work with when he was at the MTA. And let me just say this, government today is probably more important than it's ever been before. What's going on today is serious. I don't care, Democrat, Republican. The stakes are very, very high, and the consequences are very, very high. You take any of these issues they're talking about in Washington, and they could have significant effects on New York. You talk about our competitiveness and what we need to do to remain the New York that we know. The New York of Lou Rudin and Mario Cuomo, the preeminent New York, right? We have a lot to do. So government is more important than ever before, and incremental government doesn't work. You need a government of boldness. You need a government of initiative. You need a government that is going to rebuild this city and this state to the position that they were at. Remember, this is New York. We were all about ambition. We were about drive. We were about doing things that were never done before. We were the first. And in so many ways, we're not the first anymore. And that's why we've undertaken probably the most ambitious development program in the history of the state of New York, $100 billion. New LaGuardia Airport, new JFK Airport, 3 new airports upstate New York. rebuilding all the river crossings, the Queens Midtown Tunnel, Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. This week we opened the new Ciaccia Bridge, which was always a long time bottleneck. Penn Station, finally, the suffering has to stop at Penn Station. So boldness and energy and initiative and competence. The one caveat is it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to take on the bureaucracy day after day after day. And these big agencies, they are monoliths, and they have a culture all their own. And you have to go in every day and you have to battle the bureaucracy and battle the culture if you want to actually make change and get things done. And it's an art form. I've worked with many people in government, state government, city government, federal government. I've never worked with anyone who was as tireless and as effective and as bold as Tom Prendergast. He never said no. He never said it was too hard. I was with him in some of the most difficult circumstances that you can imagine. And he did great, great things for this city and this state. The greatest, the cherry on the cake, was the 2nd Avenue subway getting it done on time, which everyone said was an impossibility. And Tom said, by hook or by crook, we're going to get it done. I don't know if it was by hook or by crook. I don't know that I want to know. But he got it done. So kudos to Tom Prendergast. Kudos to all the winners tonight. And it was my pleasure to be here. Thank you.